What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one, I'm going to be breaking down what's going on with Tesla stock, what the news is saying about the share price going forward, what's happening with the news affecting the markets, and why there's going to be a very, very big move for Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 30 minutes after market open today. I'm going to break down why that is and what you should be expecting and some very important levels to be watching for. But before I break anything down, all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner. Take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 6 free stocks. If you deposit $500 into the account, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks, and $25,000 of a deposit guarantees you 70 free stocks plus 12 months of free level 2 data. The offer ends in just 2 weeks. Check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's talk about what's going on with the market. As a reminder, guys, we're going to be expecting some high volatility today. 15 minutes after market open at 9:45 a.m., we have the S&P 500 Global Composite PMI and the Services PMI coming out. That could cause some volatility, but at 10 a.m., expect a very big move because we have the JOLTS job openings coming out. This is the very important employment numbers. Then we have the job quits data coming out. That's going to be very important for the month of October. It's going to be important for all sorts of things from the Fed's policies to how consumers are viewing the economy. It's going to make a lot of headlines and expect a very big move thanks to it. We also have a lot of services data coming out from the ISM sector. This is going to be very important for how the economy is doing, and this could help us get better gauges for whether or not we're approaching a recession. So all this could lead to more fear about a recession or less fear. It could affect, how the Fed views things, whether or not the narrative about the soft landing has more merit. It's very important data at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 30 minutes after market open. Expect some high volatility. When it comes to the news affecting the markets, I just want to call out that so far, the market's talking about how there's a pause going on in the market rally. The market is slowing down a bit, and we're going to be watching to see if this still continues, because it is possible the market continues to sink. But we have to break some critical supports. Some stocks are doing so, others are not yet. Or will the market get one more bounce before we sell off later on? We'll just have to wait and see. GitLab is up 14% after doing very well with earnings. Twilio said that it may have to lay off 5% of its workforce and cut about 300 employees based off their headcount in a recent SEC filing. On top of this, the ratings agency Moody has downgraded its outlook on China's government credit to negative from stable. This is some big news because the rising debt risk in Beijing's fiscal support is once again affecting their credit, and this is going to affect the US. This is part of why the US markets are even selling off. This is some negative news. And then Nokia shares are slowing down after they missed on a very, very big deal with AT&T. Instead, AT&T is going to partner with their rivals. That's some big news too. That's what's making the headlines for the big, the overall market, etc. For earnings, we have GameStop coming out for tomorrow. We had Neo this morning, just a couple of retails out there. You could screenshot this if you want to see what they're going to be. And I'm seeing some negative news for Tesla. The Danish unions have joined the strike against Tesla by the Swedish workers. Now we're seeing, these other employees basically joining in and blocking more ports. This is very, very important. Denmark's largest trade union has joined the strike against Tesla, and they're continuing to demand collective bargaining rights for their employees and different pressures like that. This is some big news, and this is once again going to affect, Tesla to some extent. And then don't forget that on top of that, Tesla announced that it may not, some of their Model 3s may not qualify for the EV tax credit like before. So that was also mentioned earlier, and I talked about that yesterday. So that's some negative news for Tesla. That's why Tesla is down. But the question is, what's going to happen when all the data comes out? So all the data comes out at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. On our hourly time frame, you guys can see that Tesla is technically starting to lose this support at the white trend line, which is becoming a bearish signal. But if you draw this on the daily time frame, we technically haven't broken yet. So there is still some potential for Tesla to hold up. So if I zoom out of the chart like this is looking a little bit off. I'm sorry about that, guys. Basically, we're going to be looking at Tesla like this. So we have this support right here. Wait, this trend line right here of support. And we're going to be watching to see if Tesla holds this or not. If we're bullish, you want to see Tesla try to break above 235 and get very close to 240 plus. If we get a bullish move after the data comes out, and it could always break down later on. If we're bearish, after all this data comes out at 10 a.m., you want to see Tesla lose the trend line and make its way down towards 230. 230 is our last point of support. We're barely at 233 right now, so it's looking weak. Right now, Tesla looks kind of weak, but we'll see if this causes some kind of move to the downside. If we lose 230, expect Tesla to start sinking to fill this gap into the low 230s. Expect a bigger drop on Tesla if we lose 230. Okay, so I can't predict what the data is going to cause. It's very capricious, it's very, very nuanced, and it can be very, very crazy, and the reaction could be just all over the place. So if we get a bullish reaction, Tesla could make its way back up to 240 and then reject. If we get the bearish reaction, it's going to lose 230 and then turn bearish and eventually make its way down to the 220s. Just wanted to warn you about that, guys. Make sure you watch your levels and watch your trend lines. On SPY, something very similar is basically developing. If we're bullish after all the data comes out, guys, on SPY is going to basically be bouncing and trying to make its way up to 457.5. If we break that, there could be one more test of like 459 before the rejection back down. And if we're bearish, we want to see this orange trend line break, and we want to see this thing come all the way back down to 452. So make sure you watch 454 around that area. We need to see SPY try to hold that. We need to see 454 hold on SPY. If it fails to hold that, we're going to come down to 452. The orange trend line, our support trend line, is still holding. We haven't broken that yet. If we lose 454, then that's going to turn bearish, and then 452 is next. And then below that, we have 450. If we're bullish, we could get one more bounce to fill our gap up to 459 and then come down. It all depends on the data. Will we get one more push up to fill our gap up to 459 and then reject? Or will we just reject and lose our important support here and start sinking for 452 or below that? We will just have to wait and see. I just wanted to warn you about that for the time being. On the QQQ, will we get one more push up towards 388? And then if we break that, the next level is going to be 390. Will we get one more push to the upside, then a rejection back down to 383? Or are we going to just reject from here back to 385 and then just continue sinking? If we lose 383.75, I would turn more bearish. We haven't lost that support yet. Okay. But the question is, will we lose support off the data and then start sinking towards like 380? Or will we get one more bounce and before we start sinking down? That I'm not too sure about. It all depends on the data. So we'll just have to see. I'm not going to trade anything until I see all this data. After all the data is out, I'll just scalp. That's what my plan is, not financial advice. I just want to call that out. Make sure you watch your levels just to be safe. On Nvda, with all this data being released, will Nvidia is currently at 452. Will we get a bounce back to 459 and then reject? Could we try to fill this gap up to like 460? This is like around the 465 area as well and then reject? Or will we end up just breaking down below 450? If we bounce on Nvidia, look for 460. If we break that, we could come all the way up towards 465 plus, a little bit up there, and then reject back down. Excuse me. If we're bearish, you want to see Nvidia break below 450 right after the data comes out. And our next target is going to be 444 to 440. So I wish I could predict it, guys, but it depends on the data. We'll just have to see if this causes a move to the upside or the downside. So just be very careful, and we will see how it goes from there. Make sure you watch the levels and do what you have to do. Last but not least, for Apple stock, one of the favorite stocks out there. If we're bullish, we're currently at 189.9. If we're bullish on Apple, if we get a bounce, you want to see it basically push up towards this trend line, make our way back up to 191. If we get back above 190, we start pushing, we could be heading for the 191s. If we're bearish, you want to see it lose 189. If we lose 189, expect it to come down to 188.5 and below that. Okay, so it all depends on the data. We'll see from here. Here are your levels on Apple if you're interested in looking at them. With that being said, Get ready for a big move at 10 a.m. There could be some volatility at 9:45 when we have the PMI report, but 10 a.m. is when we have the jobs numbers and the ISM services data. So make sure you watch it all very carefully and get ready for a big move for Tesla. Tesla looks a little weak right now with all the bad news coming out, but let's just see if the pieces of data coming out at 10 are going to cause an even bigger move in either direction. It's going to cause a big move. We'll just have to see. So with that being said, thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you and peace out.